Hey BookTube, it's Charlie from Reader Turned Writer, and today I am doing the Get to Know Ya book tag. I have been doing quite a few tags recently, but it's because I've been tagged by quite a few people, so I figured I'd try and get them in before the baby comes since I have all of those other videos pre-planned. So I was tagged by Melissa at Sassy Ginger Book Obsession. I really like her channel. She is a super sweet girl. She gives really good recommendations. She reads a lot of YA, fantasy, and contemporary. She has beautiful books. She's a mom booktuber, and I just really like her personality and the way that she talks about books. So go ahead and check out her channel. I'll link it down below. I'll just jump right into the questions now. Question 1, what is your favorite book? And I seriously think that this is the most unfair question. It depends on the genre, okay? So one of my favorite books, I really like Brandon Sanderson's books, especially like Mistborn. His Mistborn series. Ella Enchanted was my favorite book growing up. I obviously love Harry Potter, and there are quite a few classics that I would consider some of my favorites, like Anne of Green Gables or To Kill a Mockingbird. Question 2, what was your favorite book 5 years ago? So 5 years ago I would have been 20 and I would have just gotten married. My favorite book was probably Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson at the time. Question 3, what is your favorite duology? My favorite duology. This is a hard one. I honestly don't know that I have read very many duologies. The only one I can think of is Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I did really enjoy those, so I guess that's my favorite. I don't know. Along with that question is your favorite trilogy, and for this I would definitely pick The Kingdom and the Crown by Gerald Lund, and this is a trilogy basically about the time that Christ spent on Earth. And I absolutely loved it. I bawled. It touched me in so many different ways. It taught me so much about like the Pharisees and made it way easier to read the New Testament. It taught me a lot of things about like their culture in that time period that I just had never known, even though I grew up in, religious and going to church and everything. And I loved the way that Gerald Lund portrayed this story and all of the research that went into it and everything, and I just thought it was a beautiful historical fiction trilogy. And then favorite series, and again this is really hard because there are things like Harry Potter. I would say one of my favorite series is Children of the Promise by Dean Hughes, and this is a World War II series, and it was the first World War II historical fiction that I read that I actually really enjoyed, and I learned so much from it, and it had kind of an LDS spin on it because the family that he follows is LDS, and yeah, I really loved this. It really helped me feel for the people that went through World War II. It helped me feel a lot more gratitude and empathy towards them, and I'm really glad that I read it. I also love all of Brandon Sanderson's books and novellas. I just have to say most of them are trilogies or series, and I really love all of them. Question 4, what was the last book you read? The last book I read was actually On Becoming Baby-Wise because I read it in preparation for my baby that's coming soon, so that's kind of, yeah, kind of funny. The last fictional book I read was called Book Scavenger, and it was a middle grade kind of mystery type book, but I absolutely loved it. I would definitely recommend it. Book Scavenger by Jennifer Chambliss-Bertman. I really liked it. If you like middle grade, I think you would really enjoy that book. What was the last poetry book you read? I don't remember. I have not read a poetry book in a long time, but watching BookTube really makes me want to get into reading poetry, and I want to try reading some now that I'm out of high school. I don't think I've really read any poetry books since high school. Question 6, what book has most influenced your life? Oh man, this is a hard one. Definitely Harry Potter. Harry Potter has been a big influence. It got me reading. It was kind of like my, in elementary school, I wasn't like an unpopular kid, but I didn't have a ton of friends either, I didn't feel like. I mean, I had friends that I would go and hang out with, but I felt like Harry Potter was kind of like my go-to, and so that was like a big thing. Another big one was Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, because that is the first thing that my husband and I found about Dave Ramsey, and following his program and his plan with our finances has really transformed our lives in amazing ways that you would not even believe to be possible. and our lives are so amazing right now, in part because of that book. I definitely think The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey is a big one. I think that rereading that would also be a good influence in my life right now. And I definitely have to just mention the Book of Mormon, which is, because I'm LDS, we believe in the Bible, but we also have the Book of Mormon, and that has been a huge influence in my life, so I just couldn't not mention it. And then there are also a lot of classics that I feel have influenced my life just in inspiring me to be better and showing me good literature, I guess. Question 7, a book that made you ugly cry. And this is a little bit ridiculous, but I'm going to say Allegiant. It's just the first book that pops into my head when it comes to ugly cry. The ending just made me bawl, because endings like this, I don't want to give it away if you haven't read it, but endings like Allegiant, I just have a really hard time with emotionally because I feel like it's so sad. And so yeah, I probably bawled for like 20 minutes. Another one was The Smile by Donna Jo Napoli, because I felt like she ended up with the wrong person, which I was totally not expecting, and I read it in high school, and so I hadn't ever come across something like that before, and it like shattered me. I was so sad, and I just remember sitting on my bed in high school just like bawling. It was like all sunny and happy outside, but I was just in my room just bawling my eyes out. Question 8, a book that made you laugh. For this I picked Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is like a fantasy western, and it is hilarious. The first time I read it, I remember I was sitting in my room, and I had a roommate at the time in college, and I was just like laughing out loud, and she was like, what the heck? But it was so funny. It's the humor in it is hilarious. The two main characters are just so funny, and the whole series is funny, but I think Alloy of Law is the funniest. Question 9, a character you would like to be for a day, and I would choose Ella from Ella Enchanted, because I think it would be super fun to meet Char and see all the different creatures that she comes into contact with, and her world is a fantasy world, but it's not too dangerous, and she's a princess, and you know, she was also like my heroine that I looked up to growing up, and so it'd be really fun to be her for a day. Question 10, a book that was so good you dreamt about it. I used to have Harry Potter dreams all the time. Even like clear up into high school, I would have Harry Potter dreams sometimes. 11, a book you DNF'd. This is hard to remember because I don't actually keep track of the books that I DNF, I just keep track of how many. Yeah, I can't think of any because I don't keep track of them, but they're just not good enough to keep track of, that's why I DNF them. And 12, what books are you excited to read? One book I'm really excited to get to is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. It's a historical fiction set in World War II that everybody seems to love, and so I'm really excited to read it. I'm also really excited to read Walk Two Moons by Sharon Creech. It's a middle grade book that I've heard really good things about, and I've been wanting to read for a while. And there are quite a few books, but the last one I'm just going to mention is The 13th Princess by Diane Zayler, and it's a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses with a 13th princess, and so I'm really excited to get to that one as well. There are obviously a lot of books I'm excited to read, but those are kind of next on my radar. So that's all the questions. I will tag a couple people. First I wanted to tag Irina at Beautiful Pages. I really love her channel. I get a lot of really good reading recommendations from her, and I love the way that she talks about the books and the way that she reviews books, and so I'll link her channel down below if you want to go check her out. I also will tag Kayla's books, Kayla at Kayla's Books, and she's a fairly new booktuber that I just discovered. She does really cute videos as well. She does quite a few book reviews, and I really enjoyed watching her channel so far, and I will link her down below as well. So those are the two people that I am going to tag, or if you haven't done this video, then of course you can consider yourself tagged and do this tag. It's a really fun one. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.